Welcome back. This is the Intel. We are in conversation with leaders of various political parties. We are framing it as those parties that are sometimes community-based movements and sometimes the smaller political parties as an alternative to the big four, big five political parties of this country ahead of November the 1st. Mr. Kekana, let me ask you, you got 31 seats, if I recall correctly, in 2016 in local government elections. I can't recall now how many of those seats were ward seats, as in you had a candidate with your name and everyone knew that this is the person who's going to be elected as the councillor for this area, versus the proportional representation system where you do get that formula that ends up allocating seats to smaller political parties. Not that is illegitimate, but you and I will agree that the better prize is, of course, to go to the people and say, here's the candidate, we say this person is proper, elect this person, and the community buys in. Just give me a sense of your thinking around that and what you are targeting now by way of PR versus ward candidates getting elected.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zelemela. And what happened in 2016, there are wards that we lost with 2 votes or 3 votes, and there were a lot of irregularities in those wards. So the margin that we lost wards is not so big. However, at the moment we are sitting with PR councillors. The system that we use as forum for service delivery, we don't take a councillor to the people. The community, we go to the community to give us a leader who they want to be as a councillor. We are the first organization to ask to get councillors directly from the community, not other way around. So we held a lot of community meetings, and communities have asked us to field those leaders to be the councillors in their wards. That's why our campaign is very strong. Our campaign is very robust, and we are definitely sure that we will win one municipality in the Northwest outright.
One municipality in the Northwest outright. Which one? There are so many that are ripe for the pickings. I mean, if you look at the failures of governance there, they are astounding.
The municipality that we are targeting to win is Ramotseremilwa municipality, and I can report it to you, Mr. Semelani, is that on the 4th of November, that municipality will be in the hands of Forum for Service Delivery, because of people that in the Northwest and other provinces, they know our hard work, they know our mechanisms of holding an executive to account.
All right, let's pause there for a moment. Mr. Vuyolwethu Zungula, from your side as the ATM, you did well in getting elected in terms of representation in the National Assembly. What will make those successes at that level translatable to successes in local government, in municipalities come November the 1st? Which municipalities do you have in mind that you see as being within striking distance, and why?
Firstly, we have managed to use our influence in Parliament as well as our foundations as a faith-based organization to have a broader spread in the entire country. We are fielding more than 5,000 candidates, both ward and PR, all over the country. We believe that there are some municipalities, particularly around Eastern Cape and KZN, where we think we might do very well, including a few in Limpopo. However, I want to confidently say, come the 1st of November, when people vote, they'll vote in numbers for the ATM, and definitely the ATM will have presence in almost all municipalities across the country. So that is our promise, our commitment as the ATM, that will be there in all councils serving the people.
Mr. Botha, let me ask you about perceptions as far as your party is concerned. Is there a perception that you have picked up that says the Patriotic Alliance represents a particular demographic group in South Africa? And if there is, are you happy with that? or would you like to see that change?
Yeah, certainly. We often get accused of being a party for colored people or a colored party. Look, that's not the truth. We have candidates from all demographics. We appeal to all the demographics. But the reality is that we are putting the colored agenda first. And it is something that I work in Bitu, and we'll drive through Kranshoek, Kirland, New Horizons, Green Valley. And those communities that are living there are way behind the other communities. The Plettenberg Bay, obviously the white suburb, is extremely well taken care of. KwaNokutulo has been very well taken care of by the ANC in the last 4 years or so. And the colored communities are way behind. And we believe you cannot possibly unify this country if you leave people behind. It's impossible. You've got to have equal development, equal opportunities for people. A place like Kranshoek, for instance, doesn't have a secondary school. There are secondary schools in KwaNokutulo, two, three of them. So those disparities are an issue, and it is going to remain a problem in South African politics if we don't seek to equalize our communities and to ensure that communities that have been left behind are sorted out and that these sort of backlogs are resolved. Now, we believe that there are backlogs in all communities, and we're using the apartheid spatial terminology. But colored communities or those colored areas are like 35 years behind. And a lot of the black townships and suburbs are 15 to 20 years behind. And a lot of the white suburbs are 3-4 years behind. So everybody needs service. Everybody needs support. But there are communities that are further behind, and we're unashamed about that. It is an issue that very few political parties will talk about, but we are finding, obviously, because we've said that, because we're not ashamed of saying that, we are finding support in a colored audience right now. But that said, we are certainly signing up as many black candidates and black supporters as we are in the colored community. The white community is a little slower to wake up. They tend to stick to the DA. Very difficult to move them from their voting home. But I can tell you, a lot of my friends and colleagues are finding a Patriotic Alliance very appealing. So yeah, we know that that people are a colored party, but we consider ourselves a colorful party, and we about that agenda.
Eugene, I do need to bring in Margaret Arnolds very quickly before I go to a break. And after the break, by the way, for all of you, I will be asking you about what your thinking is about coalition governments being a real possibility and what your approach to coalitions will be. And in a way, this is linked to that, Margaret Arnolds. Some of the municipalities where you've been in coalitions are failing municipalities. I mean, Maluti Apofung is a disaster, an unmitigated disaster. And how do you then go to voters and say, we're very different from the ANC, when you've been propping them up over the years in a number of these municipalities?
Thank you, Turasizwe. I do want to say that, yes, Maluti Apofung is definitely in a mess. It has been in a mess even before we came there. And we did not have that many councillors that we could make the big difference. But while coalition government will be the order of the day, I can definitely see that coming forth in the coming elections as well. But as I said, when my opening statement was that we are a party that looks at taking care of the people first and looking at what we as the AIC is able to do. Like, for instance, in Maluti Apofung and in Metsimaholo, where we are also in government, and in eKurhuleni, as well as in the city of Johannesburg. We do not go to the people and say to the people, everything is fine and everything is good. We go, we listen to the people, and we come back and we give a report to the people as to this is what we are able to do and this is what we are not able to do. And this is what government can, and this is what government can't. Remember, It is nice when you come into a municipality and you are promising people the stars and the moon, but when you get into government, it's a totally different ballgame. And you understand that there are certain things that are done in certain ways. But as the AIC, we report back and we give back to people what we can and what we can't. And remember, we don't just say yes to the ANC when they are wrong. We also come back and say to our people, this is the fight and this is the battle that we have to go through to ensure that we give you the services that you deserve.
All right, Margaret, Arnolds, let's hold it there for a moment. We'll continue our discussion. And as I said, after the break, I'll be asking each one of you about your thinking about coalition governments ahead after November the 1st. I know that you are in it to win it, and the first prize is to win the municipalities outright. But in the event that we find ourselves in coalition terrain, what is the thinking of each one of my guests? Stand by. You'll be hearing a bit more about that in just a moment. This is the Intel on eNCA.